What is going on, everybody? I'm back today to talk about a movie that, to be completely honest with you, I had no interest in watching this, but it just so happened to work out that the time worked to see this, and I was like, you know what? Whatever, I'll check it out. And this is a horror movie starring Pete Davidson, who, to be completely honest with you, I'm not the biggest Pete Davidson fan. I don't think that he's a really good actor by any means. And whenever I've seen him on SNL, he's kind of just driven me nuts. But whenever comedic actors take an attempt to be in horror movies, I always find it to be really interesting. So I was curious to see what he would bring to the table with this. And the film I'm going to be discussing with you today is The Home. The Home is directed by James DeMonaco. A troubled man starts working at a retirement home and realizes its residents and caretakers harbor sinister secrets. As he investigates the building and its forbidden fourth floor, he starts to uncover connections to his own past and upbringing as a foster child. So, like I said, I didn't know anything about this movie, honestly. This was one of those instances, I hadn't even seen a trailer to this. I just knew it was a horror movie starring Pete Davidson. And here's what I will say. It is awful. I did not like this movie whatsoever. I thought this movie had some interesting ideas, and I really appreciated it early on with how it was trying to be very strange and abstract and weird. But it ends up becoming incredibly cliche and formulaic. And honestly, this felt like a cheap sci-fi original movie that would air on TV. Like, really poorly shot and edited. It felt really cheap. Like, some of the practical effects were okay, but most of the movie just felt really inexpensive. And also, the performances are god awful, which makes it really difficult to sit through. And I'll tell you a little bit about it when I break the movie down for you today. So, the beginning of the film, we're introduced to Max, played by Pete Davidson, who we learn early on in the movie was in a foster home, had some issues with his younger brother dying when he was little, his young foster brother, and that just caused him a lot of pain and trauma, and he really had a hard time dealing with that experience. And as he's grown up, I think it's implied that he's dealing with either like substance abuse issues or things he just can't keep his life together. And so because of that, he's getting in trouble a lot, and he ends up having to do community service. And the person who's in charge of his community service tells him that the best thing that he can go do is go work at this nursing home facility as their caretaker. Well, he'll be their maintenance man and fix things around. So he shows up there, and of course, when he gets there, there's a ton of old people. They all act incredibly strange. The people who work there act very weird, and he doesn't really know what's going on. And so once weird things start to spiral more out of control, he decides to investigate on his own. And the entirety of the film is our lead character, Max, learning about this strange, suspicious activity happening at this nursing home care facility and what he can do to try and stop it. So, like I said, I did not like this movie at all. I thought that it was really poorly done. It felt incredibly cheaply made. I'm going to give it any positives. I think early on in the movie, it does a really great job trying to be sort of weird and abstract. There's a lot of like strange imagery early on. Like, he walks in on these two old people having sex, and they're like wearing these really weird masks. And I was like, okay, I'm on board for this. This is like weird and strange and different. And then the movie just sort of started diving into more of the same lame jump scares at things that you could predict a mile away. A lot of filler dialogue, just really uninteresting, uninspired drivel that made it very difficult to sit through the entire runtime. But early on in the movie, when it was trying to be a little bit more surreal and abstract, it was something that I could appreciate. They also do a lot of like the at night scenes where it's like, is it real or is it a dream? Like those type of things, which I don't know, something about that in horror movies lately has really driven me nuts. But I can appreciate what the director was going for early on in the movie, and I feel like the way he was trying to tap in our lead character's experience with like what he was dealing with in his childhood. There's a way you could approach this to make that really interesting. This movie never gets there particularly, but I respect that they were going for that approach. But that's really the only positive that I have for this movie. The performances in this are horrible. I don't know why Pete Davidson chose to act. He is terrible. I don't think you could have picked someone to act more uninterested with what's going on. And like his character, he starts off like he's all beat up and he looks like he's going through all these issues, and he's immediately like on board, thrilled fulfilled to be working at this nursing home. Like the way he acts with people, and the like, they try to make him this really good natured, like he's trying to do this great service, but it feels like it comes out of nowhere. Like it doesn't seem like that's a part of who his character is, which makes the movie very confusing. You never really know who his character is, and because he gives such a flat and bland performance, it's just really hard to stay invested. And I would say that about most of the performances in this movie. They're really bad. The only performance I really liked in this movie was John Glover, which I was a huge Smallville fan, so it was kind of cool to see him again. He's done a lot throughout his career, obviously, but he's like unhinged in this movie. And he was one of the only things about it that I appreciated, was just how wild his performance got. But everyone else, like, delivered just really flat, uninspired performances. Like I said, this movie felt incredibly cheap. The way that it was shot, the lighting decisions, some of the editing, it felt like a sci-fi original movie. It did not feel like a movie that had any sort of budget whatsoever. It just felt very cheaply made and kind of thrown together. There's a lot of unnatural dialogue, and rather than it feeling like a Yorgos Lanthimos or like Wes Anderson sort of deadpan dark comedy, it just feels poorly done. Like the way characters respond to one another, a lot of Pete Davidson's dialogue, unnatural, I don't even think begins to describe how uncomfortable it is, which also made the movie really difficult to watch when it feels like the performers aren't doing the best of their ability to give really quality performances, which made it a relatively frustrating experience to watch this movie because of how poor the performances are. And then, like, the twist of the movie, I get what the director was trying to do with it, but it's relatively predictable. And once the twist happens, it's just really uninteresting. It just kind of goes into chaotic violence in the last 10 minutes. And I feel like it's incredibly unearned. Like, normally, if you stay really reserved and quiet and then just kind of blow up into this unhinged, ridiculous absurdity, I would commend you. But so much of this movie just meanders with unnecessary dialogue. And then the way they try to tie the movie back in to our lead character's past, it just didn't really matter because we don't know who this character is. They don't do a good job of building him up. They don't do anything making you interested in what he's doing, which then makes the climax of the movie feel incredibly unsatisfying. And if there's a word I'd use to describe this, it's bland. It's definitely watchable. Like I've seen a lot worse than this, but there's just nothing of value to it. There's no reason why I would tell you to watch this movie, because it's doing a bunch of things that have already been done before, just way, way worse. So have you seen The Home? Did you love it? Did you hate it? Leave me a comment down below. Let me know what you thought. I thought this movie was terrible. I hated it. And honestly, I'll never watch it again. As always, if you can like the video and subscribe to the channel, helps me out a lot and lets me know the type of content you're looking for. I'm always putting out new material and look forward to getting more out for you in the near future. And as always, everyone, thank you so much for watching and have a great rest of your day.